once the creator takes the breath, the rest is just like a vessel. Because the cases that we work on, they say they bring someone who was seated, he was having a jazz with the fellows and he just collapsed. And then they'll bring you have to look for the cause of death. So obviously do the dissection, and when it comes to organs, they look fine. And maybe just a simple expansion of the heart. The valves, maybe they've just like 1 centimeter or 0.5, and that was the cause of his death.
And that
like
was maybe
yes, that's why they could
yes,
cardio arrest, something like that. And then they will bring you a case. Let's say someone was having like peptic ulcers, and there were septic. Maybe he got wounds, and everything he takes in, he just goes out and goes to the skin, and find that all the organs are dead. But this person has been living also. You get the point?
Dead.
Has been living.
Okay, now I literally have to make an about and back to the information that we have to go into. But knowledge is power, and that's the beautiful part about it. I have beautiful people, awesome people with me today, and I am really super interested in this conversation that we are going to have. I hope that you are as interested as I am when you get to know the conversation, because a series of things have been happening, and we found ourselves in a world that is getting smarter every day, in a generation that trends are changing nearly every second. Some of us are even failing to actually catch up. Now, when it comes to the world of education, we know what education used to be. The old generation, like me and others, don't argue with me because you don't know how old I am. And then there is also another generation that has come up with, different styles of jobs and different styles of school and different styles of, are progressing in the world and earning a living and being passionate about things, pursuing their purpose, and then being able to have a paycheck out of their own passion. Now, two worlds are colliding, especially when it comes to the African continent. The parents want to hear nothing about it, but the Gen Zs and the Alphas are saying, hey, look here, your generation is up and going. Please allow us to also flourish in our own generation. So that is what we are facing. We are faced with what are they called? Expired degrees. Like, who expires degrees? That means in the first place you taught something that you knew would not have value long term. I don't know where that came from. So I know that many of the parents have their hands on their heads. Many of the students, some of them are lost. And then there are those who are saying, I wish you followed your passion, you would have been where I am. The kinds of Gilberts. The kinds of Gilbert who says, me, I'm into documentary, Tolinacho Ngamba, I am flourishing and I'm having a good time because I'm doing what I feel is fulfilling. Does it feel fulfilling to you?
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
Okay, but I've seen so many documentary guys having dreads. Is that like a style also?
No, not exactly. I think it's, for me personally, it's freedom. Okay. Of like expression, basically.
Yeah,
I used to.
I don't have any office, no office hours to arrive, so exactly, I'm just going to live my life.
I didn't like the clean shaven
head,
and I had, because like I'm always on the move and whatnot, I had trouble like always combing and whatnot. So organically, I just went in, grew dreads, and that was it.
Okay, and then we have Esther, a mortician. I clearly feel like I sound sophisticated when I say the word mortician. Welcome.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
Good.
About the colliding worlds, which generation do you belong to?
To the current generation.
The Gen Zs of this world.
Exactly.
The Gen Zs of this world. And have you ever felt the pressure of parents wanting, or guardians or caretakers, or a different generation wanting something different for you, and you wanting to walk a different path?
Exactly.
How did that happen?
Well, overall, I grew up wanting to be a lawyer. Yes, you can be a lawyer. You can be a politician.
Do you see a lawyer in Esther?
Yes. You can be a politician. Like, that's the kind of life, I would say.
That's what they wanted.
Yes, that's what they wanted. But on the way...
No, at what point did you jump out of that saucepan?
After my Form 6. That's when I trained for first aid, and
And your parent paid for first aid?
Everything happened on me. I did first aid training as I was like,
you
no.
paid for yourself?
Yes, I said it's just a training as I keep myself busy in the vacation. So
okay.
I had to practice it at Mengo Hospital during the COVID time. So I did it like for a year. And that's when I had to get more passion, like wanting to know what life is. Yes, I've given first aid to this person. But this person has died. What has happened? You get the point.
Where did I lose them?
Yes.
You were concerned.
Yes.
Because again, most doctors end up at the bit of he has died. They record the time of death and
yes. So in that, I used to do my job. I do first aid and also take to the doctors or the nurses. But at the end of the day, this person dies and I want to know what has happened. Like I wanted to know what is happening.
Yes.
What has happened?
What's the cause of
What's
death?
the cause of death?
Everything seemed so clean. All the tests
this person
were
looked fine. So what has happened? And I want to know what happens after. Or maybe these people are taken before death, something like that. So
so you were all into that spirit goes away and
yes, the spirit. Then if the organs are okay, why is this person dying now? Can't we boost using oxygen? You get the point? But I couldn't answer myself. I couldn't get the answer. Fortunately, the A+ mortuary is just close to Mengo. In fact, the Mengo Hospital is the A+.
You just walked?
So I just started getting interested, started walking. I used to go with.
To go and follow up?
And see, like, I wanted to know
happened.
What happens, you people, when you bring them, what do you do? Like, you get a point. So if you take me inside, I'd be like, this is the mortuary. This is what we do. When someone dies, we do this and this. Okay. But still, I couldn't get the answer. Like, I started making it frequent visits. I go every Saturday, I go. So...
Did you ever tell your guardians that I paid for a small certificate for first aid, but now I'm getting deeper?
No. I told one sister.
Okay.
Only one. She's a medical worker. She's a nurse.
Okay.
At least for her, she can understand. But the rest, whose daughter? Whose daughter?
What are you up to?
Nankunda. So I picked more interest. So time came. I had to ask one of the old guys in Mengo. He's called in Subuga. He's a good friend of mine. So like, Mzee Subuga, what happens? Nangamba, he's called mom, like, daughter, if you're interested, apply to Mulago. They do mortuary science. Like the next week in the morning on Monday, I went.
Seriously, it's like something that
I went and one of the pathologists was like, are you interested? I'm like, yes. So like, tomorrow morning, come. Bring your papers, bring your application.
Just like that?
Like that. I took my application and the following day, I was in the building.
Studying?
Mortuary
science.
Science.
And you followed through. How long did that take?
It takes 6 months.
Okay. So you showed up consistently and went through with the course. And
one thing I saw, like, these guys start their work very early. At 5, they have started.
Okay.
Yes. So I used to be there at 6.
What? Dissecting?
6
a.m. Doing this together?
Yes.
I'm really fascinated by
dissecting. Yes.
So you also cut?
Here in Mulago, yes. Yeah. For 1 week, I was just studying, observing. Then he was like, next week, you're starting dissections here. Because there's a lot of work. We are starting dissections. And I had fear in my hands. How do I start even dissecting them? This person, body, and this person looks like me. He told me one thing in science: the moment someone dies, he's lifeless.
Okay. So they can't feel any pain. Nothing.
They can't. So do your work, dissect, and look for the cause of death. You get to the cause of death. Like, okay. So the following week, I started. This wasn't easy as I thought, but I started.
It wasn't like dissecting a frog. It was
it was totally different.
So I started. I did dissections. Like the senior morticians used to help me. We do this.
You check the organs. They tell you the difference
this
between
looks
the normal organs.
This looks abnormal.
So they have sizes.
Even the appearance.
The inflation of in size in inches, you can tell that this was okay.
Appearance, even weight. because we also take measurements
of the heart weight and the
heart
liver
weight,
weight and
yes, the brain.
okay. So they give you the normal ranges.
Yes, they'll be
you know,
like,
I'm
yeah.
about to become a doctor.
Yeah,
I'm about to get a certificate.
But this is not normal.
Okay.
And now they look for why is it heavier.
Mm-hmm.
You get.
Okay.
So now
is it because of water retention?
Yes.
Is it because
yes.
so I'm getting to. I know that conversation we can be here and study.
Exactly.
Get all the 6 months information into just this.
Yes.
this
in a
segment.
couple
The
of
good
minutes,
thing for it's hands-on.
But I love the fact that you pursued something like there was an invitation, a deeper invitation, because not everyone would actually follow through like that.
Yeah, true.
And even first aid, it's hard for people.
It's a hard one.
Would it be easy for you?
No, it wouldn't be easy for me.
You go and carry someone and the legs are falling the other way and the necks are falling. There is blood all over. You even don't know where it's coming from. Like literally you'll be shaking or even have goosebumps, and some people even get a shock. And I love the fact that you followed through. That is something that you wanted. And that actually tells me that sometimes what you want is not what everyone wants. And that means that you should limit the number of people that you tell your vision and dream and what you're interested in.
Exactly.
Because sometimes they're going to discourage you. They're going to tell you who has ever done that. Because very few people have heard of morticians.
Yeah, it's actually my
like
first
it's
time.
no one would. It's your first time. It's just like yes, I've seen people working in the mortuary, but not by choice. That this is something I have wanted to follow through. I have woken up enthusiastic about it. I can't wait for the day to dawn the next day so that I can go and dissect, so that I can also determine the cause, for someone to mark me that actually I'm doing the right thing. So you realize that there is a deeper sense of purpose, a deeper sense of fulfillment. And we usually say that purpose is something that even when you do without payment, you feel like you are fulfilled. So that means that you being paid for for a passion is actually an extra advantage. Wow. Let's go to documentaries.
Wow.
Where do you jump out of the basket?
Well, for me, I took the route where I followed my parents' path they had set out for me. So my dad is a policeman and my mom is a primary school teacher. Okay. And for them, education is like a big deal. So even growing up, for them, you are either a policeman or a teacher. Yeah. So it was the easiest thing.
That's all they know.
Yeah. Like in my family, most of my uncles, my aunties are either teachers or policemen. Okay. Yeah. But it's
a clan thing.
I don't know. I think it's a northern thing.
Okay.
When you go to the north, most people are either one of those two. Yeah. So as I grew up, for me, school was compulsory. So I settled down. My relationship with my parents is a very good one. So what I did, I just wanted them to be happy. They struggled a lot, and I didn't want to disappoint them at any one point. So I went through high school. I went to university. I did one of the expired courses. I know.
So we have an expired student here.
Yeah. So I went to Kyambogo. I did a Bachelor of Science Biotechnology.
Wait, it is also expired?
Yeah, I saw it was on
Bachelor
the
of Science of what?
It's biotechnology.
You know, I didn't go course by course.
It was there.
Chances are. Okay.
I was looking at it.
How does that get to something that has technology in it? How does it get expired? Please go ahead.
No idea. So I went, did the degree, finished it. I actually got a job with NACRI, National Agricultural Research Institute. I worked for 4 months and it got boring. What were you doing? I was working in the laboratory. Okay. So researching on cassava mosaic disease and whatnot. So every day I would go.
So you see, I would do the same field.
Scientist. So I would go do the same exact thing, and it got boring. I'm fascinated.
Same routine,
yeah, I'm fascinated by biology. Even up to now, I go like most of the videos I watch on YouTube. If it's not filmmaking, it has something to do with biology and how it's nature and stuff. So one morning, I just woke up and I dressed up because I was staying with my parents. and didn't go to work. I just...
For them, they knew you brought up this, nurtured this nice son that has gone to university, has gotten a job, like all boxes are ticking.
Everything was ticked.
Kumbe, for you?
Me, I had other
You're
goals.
bored?
Yeah, I was bored. So I wanted to do something more creative, something more artistic. I didn't know what it was at that time, but I tried a hand in very many things. I did.
You just woke up tired, but you didn't know what you were getting.
I knew I needed something in the creative space. Because at that time I'd picked up graphics design, and I was learning a bit of photography at that time. I was printing T-shirts. I was doing all these things, and my church. I think it all started with my church, because when I used to go to St. Luke's Church, and in the youth group we had like events and whatnot, and I felt, man, we needed to get some T-shirts out, we need to get some posters happening and what. So I went and taught myself how to design these things, how to create these things. So when I worked for 4 months, and then when I stopped going, I would dress up. I didn't know how to tell my dad, he's a policeman, how hard those guys can
that
be.
I'm quitting.
Hey, so I would wake up, dress up, and just go to church.
Go to chill
sit
and
there
do
for like the whole day, then come back. Like that. But then eventually I had to come clean. That was like after 2 or 3 months. That's when I came clean.
Of consistently dressing up and going to nowhere.
Exactly. Yeah. So I told them, and surprisingly, my parents are like the most supportive people. Yes, I gave you your degree. What more do you want from me? So that's
how about you earn money and marry and have children? How about you move like a proper son?
No. When it comes to that, they've never put me on any
pressure.
kind of pressure.
Okay.
Of course, like you can tell that they are like, man, is our son Kawa? Is he?
But he's taking too long.
He's taking too long. So coincidentally, I used to go for these camps, like youth camps and what. I was very active in the youth ministry. And I met this gentleman who worked with an organization. Did
that as well come from your parents, involving you in church early on in life?
No,
okay.
No, it didn't.
It was just influence from friends?
It was not exactly influence. Now, how I got into church is a very interesting story. So, we used to live at Tinda Police Post, and they'd sent me for beef to go in Tinda. So, on my way to, I used to be a dancer. I just stopped something like 2 years ago. So, on my way to Tinda, the church is right next to the road. I hear music playing. For me, in my head, I didn't imagine that kind of like dancehall music would be playing in church. I grew up in Rakai, and there we do like drums and what, these hymns and whatnot. So I hear stuff happening. I'm like, what's going on? So instead of going for the beef, I went to church.
Dancehall music.
To see there were a group of young people dancing. I was really blown away. This was how I was eating mwenda. So I got into the church and sat in the back. I was very fascinated. I sat there and waited until they finished practice, which was around 7:30. Remember, I was supposed from 3. I went and talked to this guy, and the next day I was into church. Yeah. And before that, I was very notorious. I used to get suspended, expelled. I got expelled at that time. And being in church and being, dance brought me into church, and being very passionate about it kind of flipped my relationship with my parents.
Okay.
We became very close, we became friends. My dad is a very tough guy, but then he became very like friendly and whatnot. Even for my siblings, he's like the coolest guy now. So the passion grew in the arts. I started graphics. I went into photography. Then during these youth camps, a gentleman used to work for an organization called Pastors Discipleship Network. All the organizations I've worked for are Christian-based.
That is PDN?
Yeah, that's PDN.
Wandera? Richmond?
Yes, that's him. So I got invited to volunteer, and I didn't know anything about video. But when I got there, the thing that drew me to it was the power it had, documentary filmmaking. There's all this stuff, normal films and what, but there's something.
Some of us think documentary is very boring. Don't you think so? No, like the general perception of until you get into it. And definitely, just like I said, God has a sense of humor. He gives us all different passions. Because there are some of us who would look at something that you call interesting as boring. And then something that you call interesting, you look at it as boring.
True. So the thing about it, because the vision for the organization was to impact and train and impact the African pastor. So we'd go to these remote places and train pastors, and that's when I really saw the plight of pastors. The pastors in Kampala are doing really, really well. I mean, like, they dress up good. Even if they have like a...
Are you sure?
Even if they have like a Chiwempe church, they dress up good. But in the village, that's when I saw pastors who are more like anyone else. They are servants. They would come for trainings with like torn jackets with shirts. But they're very passionate, and their stories kind of pushed me into wanting to interact with people more. Because
so by that time you're not thinking about money.
I wasn't thinking about money.
And that's the worst thing about passion.
Yeah.
That it drives you in places where there is no money.
True.
But you're following your heart.
Yeah.
And that is where I think most parents lose us.
Yeah.
Because they're like, who has done that before? How much money are they earning? Like there is no example for you to put for them. And because they are all engineers putting on huge coats and lawyers saying big things, now they also want you to pause with something that is lifeless, because that is not your passion, instead of being where you are fulfilled and where you're happy and you want to do every day. Yeah. So that opened your eyes.
That opened up my eyes
to the whole world.
To the whole world.
To documentary.
Personally, I'm a very reserved person. I don't go out and just hang out with people and whatnot. And this put me in the presence of other people and listen to people's stories, and it was.
But do you realize that even when you're an introvert in other parts of life, when you go into your passion, you come alive?
Exactly.
Like there's a whole different personality that comes out, engages, and then all of a sudden, when you go back to your own world, you become the introvert that you were before. So people don't to understand you. You only understand yourself. Yeah. Okay. I feel like I'm getting deeper, but I feel like it was so necessary for us to get into the stats of our journey into passion-based kind of jobs. Because again, right now, it's more like the trend, but some people just don't know how to do it. Yeah, have you monetized that?
Yeah. I do.
You have. I guess you've already monetized your passion. And because I want us to be able to speak and to bring the people that are viewing us on the same journey. Where are the parents going wrong? Because now the collision of the two worlds is coming face to face. You jumped out of that basket. There's a younger generation that is following in our footsteps that has not jumped out of that. They are gripped by fear. They don't know how to introduce this to their parents, and their parents remember, in as much as both of you seem like you jumped out and you were willing to plunge into the world of self-sustenance, even when there is nothing to sustain you. But the current generation really relies on that, on the sustenance of their parents, most of them. So they're like, I don't want to lose my parents' goodwill, but again, I am losing myself in the process. And with all the declared expired degrees, I think it has also humbled some people, and they're like, hey, what are we exactly into? How do we bring them on this journey?
The parents?
Yes.
I think the parents need to listen to their children a bit more. I feel like instead of just telling them what to do, it's always a good thing to listen to what they have to say. Sometimes they have good ideas, but all they need is the guidance to be able to patch them up and what. And it's not that they are running away from everything that you hold dear or as the family holds dear. It means that they're like exploring the possibilities that you might not have. They are finding themselves. Because the biggest example is my little brother. He just finished senior 6. He's waiting for his papers for the government private list to come out for us. But he's very passionate about computing, you get. But he wanted to drop out in senior 4 and then continue with whatever it is he wanted to do. But from my experience as someone who went all the way to university, did my degree and finished it, I know I'm not using any of those papers, but I can't take away the need I had to go all through these things. Because at the end of the day, education is not just about the papers. It's way more than that. The experiences you have in school, the people you interact with, and that's how you're able to build your first fundamental, network of people that you're going to do life with.
That's very
and
true.
For the most part, parents don't really know. They send us to school to do things for them.
They want.
For them.
Not knowing that you are in there for yourself.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to grow up and you won't be as much in the picture. I'll be
battling life alone.
I'll be battling life alone. Now, I don't want to be miserable in my...
because you suffocated me. Exactly. You didn't want to let me go.
Exactly. So the thing is, I think we need to have some form of discourse and have these young people, these youths interact. And at the end of the day, the youth also need to understand that everything doesn't come on the silver platter. It's a thing I've seen a lot of times because I see...
So they're both lessons from both sides?
Both sides.
Wow. And I actually had to let you go on because I really wanted you to give us your thought, the whole thought process. I know that Esther has a lot to tell us as well in her own shoes and how she has, emerged in this and what she would envision another younger girl in her same position to actually go through this. While you pick some coffee and some water, we would want to have this, to continue this conversation when we come back, and we start with Esther right where she was when she felt like I need to be able to clear some paths for myself, and that takes a lot of boldness and courage to say, let me just go and do something that I like. I know not everyone likes it, but let me plunge myself deeper and do something that I like. You never know where it leads me, but you realize it was an opening to a path that you never thought you'd actually take, and here you are, very satisfied with a smile on your face and feeling fulfilled. It can actually be seen on your face. So we love you guys. Get yourself something warm. Come back. Let's complete this conversation.